Individuals have estimated time depend about the sun. It was early afternoon when the sun was most stunning in the sky.
Dials were utilized well into the Middle Ages, at which time mechanical clocks started to show.
Urban communities would set their town clock by estimating the situation of the sun. However, every city would be on a slightly unique time.
The time shown by the clear sun on a sundial is called apparent solar time, or true local time. The time appeared by the independent sun is called mean solar time, or local mean time, when estimated regarding any longitudinal meridian.
Britain, was the primary nation to set the time all through the local towards standard time. Codes taught most about the regularities of local time and they constrained a uniform time on the nation. The first truth was accredited to Dr. William Hayden Velasco in year 1766 to 1828 and was promoted by Abraham Colin Osler in year 1808 to 1903.
For that, season of day was a local matter, and most urban and town utilized some type of nearby sunrise time. Time framework was quickly grasped by all.
The world is divided into 24 time zones. Each is divided into 15 degrees of longitude, or 1 hour angle apart. As we can see, every 15 degrees apart, it shows a different time zone. It started from UTC minus 11 to UTC positive 12. There are different types of time system, but we will discuss only the most used in standard time system.
In the old days, each town would keep their own times, with a town clock being set to noon when the sun reached its highest point in the sky. In 1884, delegates from 26 countries met in Washington, D.C. to agree on a prime meridian as a common 0 point for longitude. The result was Greenwich, England, being selected as the international standard for 0 degrees longitude and established the 24 time zones. Today, most countries follow the hourly deviations, though they do not always align with longitudes for reasons such as keeping the entire country in one time zone or altering times at certain times of the year, for example, daylight savings time. Time zones are based on the fact that the Earth moves 15 degrees longitude each hour. Since there are 24 hours in a day, there are 24 standard time zones. Time zones are counted from the prime meridian, which is 0 degrees longitude. Each time zone is counted at 15-degree intervals and extends 7.5 degrees either side of a central meridian. For example, Sydney, Australia, lies in the 150 degrees east central meridian, and the time zone includes all locations between 142.5 degrees east and 157.5 degrees east. Now, I will show you how to calculate time zones. First, determine whether the time zone is in the eastern or western hemisphere. If the time zone is east of the prime meridian, such as Australia, it will be at an earlier time than Greenwich Mean Time, or GMT. If it is west of the prime meridian, such as Canada, it will be a later time. Second, count how many time zones away from Greenwich the location is. For example, Greenland is one time zone to the west of Greenwich, so I will subtract 1 hour from GMT to determine the time there. Oslo in Norway is one time zone to the east of Greenwich, so I will add just 1 hour to the current Greenwich Mean Time. When counting the number of time zones away a location is, count the time zone your location is in, but do not count the time zone that Greenwich is in. For example, I will count for Buenos Aires, Argentina. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, if the time is 4:34 GMT, I will subtract 4 hours to find out the time for Buenos Aires. The time will be 0:34.
One of the standard time system is the UTC. Prior to 1972, this time was called Greenwich Mean Time, or GMT, but is now referred as Coordinated Universal Time. It is a coordinated time scale maintained by the Bureau International des Poids et Mesures, or also known as BIPM. It is also known as Zay time or Zulu time.
Another time system is the EST. It is one of the well-known names of the UTC -5 time zone, which is 5 hours behind the UTC. The time offset from UTC can be written as -05. It is used during the winter. During the summer, ETD or Eastern Daylight Time, it is in use.
PST is also a part of time system, currently has same time zone offset as PST or UTC, but different time zone name. Pacific Standard Time, also known as PST, is 8 hours behind Coordinated Universal Time. This time zone is in use during Standard Time in North America. This time zone is often called Pacific Time.
We use the term AM/PM many times a day when referring to the time. Do you know what they actually stand for and how they come about? AM. AM comes from the Latin words ante-meridiem, meaning before the midday. This covered the hour from 12 a.m. to 11:59 a.m. When they reach noon and the PM is until midnight, PM comes from the Latin word post-meridiem, meaning past midday. This covers the hour from 12 p.m. to 11:59 p.m.
The day was divided into two cycles, one that was tracked by the sun and the other by the moon. The 12-hour clock is not as common as you might think. It is just because it's used in countries we know well, like New Zealand, Australia, United Kingdom, United States, India, and a few others. The 24-hour clock is the more widely used way of telling the time, so it is still very important to be able to read the time this way.
There are two ways of telling the time. The 12-hour clock runs from 1 a.m. to 12 noon, and then from 1 p.m. to 12 midnight. The 24-hour clock uses the numbers 00 to 23:59.
The International Space Station follows GMT because when you're orbiting the globe, it just makes sense.
The biggest country in one time zone is Greenland. There were world's biggest island, uses 4 time zones to administer its 836,109 square miles. But China keeps things simple. It might have an area of 3,705,406 square miles, but as each of its 1.4 billion residents for the time, and you will get the same answer, which is GMT plus 8.
Greenland is in the same time zone as Britain. Despite its location in the middle of the North Atlantic, between Iceland and Canada, a narrow sliver of eastern Greenland, the weather station of Danmarksand, and a fraction of the surrounding Northeast Greenland National Park uses GMT.